Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. I had to get a swig of my water there real fast, but I just wanted to let you know that there are a few of you who have asked me to pray for you, and I am. I'm not that person who's going to, try to make that public on social media. I'm not gonna, be like, hey, look how I'm praying for all these people, but I do want you guys to know when you ask me to pray for you, I do. Simply like right then and there, and I don't make it too wordy. I just say, Lord, so and so is dealing with this. Will you please help them? And so that's just me being open and honest with you guys, and thanking you for being open and honest with me. For the few of you who have shared your prayer requests with me, that's awesome. So today we are talking about Jesus. Today we're talking about Jesus, and today we're talking about his teaching and how his teaching is different than anything else. So hopefully you guys can join in today. Thanks, Nick, for being there. We're in John chapter 7, verse 10 this morning. John chapter 7, verse 10. Yesterday we talked about how Jesus was the same publicly as he was privately. And yesterday he chose to stay in secret, chose to do his ministry in secret, and today he's going from private ministry to public ministry. So John chapter 7 verse 10 is where we are this morning. That's your context, and here we go. However, after his brothers had left for the feast, he went also, not publicly, but in secret. Now at the feast, the Jews were watching for him and asking, "Where is that man?" People were on the lookout for Jesus. Among the crowds there was widespread whispering about him. Some said, "He is a good man." Others replied, "No, he deceives the people." But no one would say anything publicly about him for fear of the Jews. Not until halfway through the feast did Jesus go up to the temple courts and begin to teach. The Jews were amazed and asked, "How did this man get such learning without having studied?" Jesus answered, "My teaching is not my own. It comes from him who sent me. If anyone chooses to do God's will, he will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. He who speaks on his own does so to gain honor for himself, but he who works for the honor of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him." I'm going to read that one more time just because that's kind of the focus of today. So verse 16 and through where we end is our focus, and it's so good I'm reading it a second time. Jesus answered, "My teaching is not my own. It comes from him who sent me. If anyone chooses to do God's will, he will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. He who speaks on his own does so to gain honor for himself, but he who works for the honor of the one who sent him is a man of truth. There is nothing false about him." Now you can tell if you're reading with me that that's not the end, so to speak, of that passage, but that's where we're going to stop today because the next portion kind of takes a turn. But our focus for today is I want you to test God. I want you to test God. I want to challenge you to kind of put Jesus up to the test and ask him what he's trying to teach you. Ask him what he's trying to show you. And if you don't believe in Jesus, I want you to put his teaching to the test somehow this week. And I know that might be kind of difficult for you if you don't believe in Jesus, but I really want you to test what you believe, either positively about Jesus or even negatively about him. Because you see in this story, there's people that believe both ways too. They believe that he's just a good teacher, or that they believe that he's deceiving them, and hardly anyone believes the actual truth that he's God and he's telling them the truth. But he says himself, if anyone chooses to do God's will, he will find out whether my teaching comes from God or whether I speak on my own. Jesus and God, multiple times, but definitely in this moment, tells us to test him, tells us that if we choose to follow him, if we choose to believe what he says, we will find out. We will find out what he says is true, what he says is right, what he says is better. And I promise you guys today, when God makes a promise, he's not going to mess up. When God makes a promise, he's going to keep it. And he promises us that if we test him, he promises us if we choose to do what he says, that we will know that it is different, that we will know that it makes a difference, that we will know that it changes us and it changes our life. God promises that when we choose to follow him, when we choose to listen to him and his teaching, that we will know for sure whether it is something of God or whether it isn't. All right? And so I want to challenge you in that way. Test Jesus. Test Jesus' teaching today. I don't know what it is. Maybe God's speaking to you if you are a Christian, or maybe you're watching this and you're not a Christian, and maybe you're kind of on the fence, or maybe you think this whole thing is stupid. Either way, Jesus is challenging you. Jesus is challenging us to listen to what he says and to follow him. And he says, if you do, he will prove it to you. He will prove it to you. And he does time and time again in my life. So I can't really make this specific for you. That's where I'm kind of challenging you to do this on your own today. But whatever that is, whatever that looks like in your life, test what God says. Test what the Bible says. Test what Jesus says. And he promises that he will prove that it is out of this world, that it is of God, that it is different and better than anything we could choose to do or say on our own. So that's my challenge to you today, and I just hope that somebody does this, and I hope that God makes a difference, and I hope that you let me know about it. I would love to. I've seen in the last couple weeks, I've seen prayers be answered. I've seen people's lives be changed, and not necessarily in this like big miraculous way, but in a couple examples, a really cool thing happened, and they even have said that it is of God. It is not even, they couldn't describe it as anything other than a miracle. And so I really want to test you guys, really want to challenge you. God will come through. God will prove himself to you if you choose to follow him. But you have to make the choice. You have to choose to listen to what he says. And if he's telling you to do something, do it. And when we do, when we obey, when we have faith and obey, he comes through every time. I'm going to get to your prayer requests after this, Nick, but thank you for sharing. I know that sucks in my life as well. You probably know, I don't know, a lot of people do know, but I lost my dad too. So I am praying for you today for sure, Nick. Thank you for sharing. And I will do so. I will do so today. I will do so tomorrow. I just appreciate you letting me know. But anyways, challenge Jesus today. Challenge God today. And I wanted to know if he makes a difference. If God makes a difference, if you choose to follow and listen to him and you see something come of it, share that with me. I would love to. I'm not going to tell the world. I'm not going to give your details out to anybody watching or listening. But I do want to know, because that encourages me when God does something big in somebody's life. So I love you guys. I hope you can listen to what Jesus is teaching you today, and I hope it makes a difference. We'll see you tomorrow.